Welcome, students, to the Smart Path Academy Explainer. Look, if you want a guaranteed way to pick up easy, fast marks on your Cambridge Checkpoint English exams, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're mastering Skill 33, Writer's Techniques. This is absolutely the secret to understanding exactly how writers build magic with their words.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our lesson roadmap for today, so you know exactly what tools and hacks we're going to cover. We've got unlocking key marks, spotting the exam clues, some step-by-step walkthroughs, a Cambridge-style practice challenge, avoiding common exam traps, and we'll finish up with a final recap and challenge. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. Unlocking key marks. Let's talk about what examiners actually want to see.
Now, you might be wondering, why does this specific skill matter so much? Well, it's simple. It guarantees marks. On the exam, markers aren't just checking if you can, read the text. They really want to see how well you can spot the hidden techniques writers use to create vivid pictures, feelings, and meaning. Treat the exam like a giant puzzle. Knowing exactly what pieces the marker is looking for is the ultimate Smart Path Academy hack. So let's decode that puzzle right now.
Moving right along to Section 2, Spotting the Exam Clues. This is where we learn the vocabulary. The great news here is you don't actually have to guess. Writers always leave a trail of breadcrumbs, and you just need to look for a few simple clues hidden in the text. Look at the columns here on the slide. You need to memorize these 4 techniques and their specific exam clues, because these are literally the keys to unlocking full marks. A simile? That's a comparison using like or as. A metaphor is a direct comparison. The text says one thing actually is another. Personification gives human qualities to an object. So look for a non-human thing doing human actions. And imagery creates a strong picture using super descriptive words.
So the crucial point is to follow these exact 3 steps every single time you face a writer's technique question. Step 1, identify the correct technique. Step 2, find your specific text clues. Step 3, explain the idea in your own words. Honestly, it sounds so simple, but locking in this exact structure is what turns an average answer into a top-tier answer.
Section 3. Step-by-step example walkthroughs. It's time to test these steps out in the training ground.
Okay, let's look at our first guided example. The text says, "The sun peered over the roofs and spilled gold across the playground." Let's do a little think aloud here. What human action is the sun doing in this sentence? Can a giant ball of burning gas in space actually peer at something? Or spill a drink? No way. Only a person does that. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly it splits up your marks. You get your first mark for identifying the technique, which is personification, right? And we know that because of our clues, peered and spilled. Then, for your second mark, you explain the image without just copying the text. So you translate it into something like, "The sun is slowly appearing like a person looking over something." Boom, 2 marks. Let's try another one. Listen to this quote. "His legs were lightning as he raced down the track." Can you spot the direct comparison being made here? Notice what's missing, though. The writer doesn't say his legs were like lightning. They just go right for it with a direct, powerful statement.
Because the quote says his legs were lightning, your clue points straight to a metaphor. And to secure that full mark explanation, you simply translate that vivid visual image into a real-world idea. So you write, "It suggests he is extremely fast." It really is that straightforward.
All right, Section 4, Cambridge-style practice challenge. I've shown you the ropes. Now it's your turn to take the wheel.
I'm going to give you 4 Cambridge-style past paper challenges. Here's challenge 1. From text C. The moon hung like a silver coin above the roofs. Which technique is used and what image does it create? See if you can spot the clue word instantly before I reveal the answer. Got it?
If you spotted the words like a, fantastic job. That is your instant clue that the technique is a simile. Now, for the explanation mark, you have to explicitly show how to describe the visual properties of a silver coin. Coins are round, right? And they're bright and shiny. So your perfect explanation is, it creates an image of a round, bright moon.
Challenge 2. Look at this authentic past paper snippet from text D. We moved deeper into the sea of boxes. Okay, which technique is used here? Think deeply about this for a second. Why is a normal room full of cardboard boxes being called a sea? What does that comparison tell you? And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how a metaphor works. The clue is that the boxes are directly called a sea, not like a sea. To get your explanation mark, remember that you must explain the vastness of a sea in your own words. So you'd say, it suggests a huge, overwhelming number of boxes that you have to navigate through.
Let's keep the momentum going with Challenge 3. Text E, the train glided out of the station. The question is, what does the verb glided suggest about the train's movement? Think about the specific picture that word glided paints in your mind compared to a normal, clunky train.
Let's break this down. The clue is that action word glided. You could identify this as imagery or personification. By choosing glided, the writer creates imagery of something moving very smoothly and effortlessly. It's totally different from a noisy train. Explaining that smooth, quiet movement is exactly what gets you the explanation mark.
Okay, here is your final practice question. Text F, sweat running down our bodies. What picture does this imagery create for the reader? I want you to visualize this physical scene and translate what that physical reaction actually means about the characters.
You probably noticed the clue is a descriptive physical action, meaning the technique is imagery. But you wouldn't just write, "they are sweating." For your explanation, you need to explain the why. It creates a vivid picture of people working extremely hard and feeling very hot. Describing the heat and the hard work validates your thinking and easily earns that second mark.
Section 5. Avoiding common exam traps, because even the smartest students lose marks if they fall into these marker scheme pitfalls.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our first trap, the EX trap, which is teacher code for being too vague. If you write, "The runner is like lightning," you get a big 0 for your explanation. Why? Because you haven't explained anything. Here is the ultimate rule. You cannot just repeat the image. To get the green check mark for full marks, you must explain what it means in real life. The runner is extremely fast.
And here is trap number 2. OW, or own words. If you write, "The sun peered and spilled gold," you sound like a robot just copying the text. And copying the quote gets 0 explanation marks. Instead, you have to use your own brain to prove you understand it. The sun is slowly appearing like a person. Always, always use your own words. Section 6. Final recap and challenge. Let's review our core steps really swiftly. Find the clue words, identify the technique, and explain the deeper meaning in your own words. Never copy. Now for your final creative challenge to keep you learning. Look around your room right now. Pick an ordinary object and bring it to life using personification. If you can make a mundane object breathe and act human, no Cambridge exam question will ever trick you again. Thank you so much for joining the Smart Path Academy Explainer. Keep practicing, stay exam smart, and we'll catch you next time.